What's going on, Workforce? Brian here, and today we're talking spoilers for patch 4.4. So spoiler warning, just keep throwing them up on the screen. If you have not finished the story up through patch 4.4, I would recommend maybe bookmarking this video, hitting the add to watch later if you're interested in the discussion. Otherwise, we're going to spoil some things, and I don't want to ruin anything for you. So be alerted, be warned, and I hope you come back and check it out. For everybody who has finished the story, let's discuss. So Calamity Watch 2018 continues, and there's a lot of threads here that are quite fascinating. For anybody who's been a 1.0 player, obviously the de-aspected crystals are an interesting touch. It's going to be interesting to see if that continues on. That was something that was kind of a phenomenon that just kind of kept happening up through 1.0, and eventually, obviously, we had the Calamity of Bahamut. Now, if you guys aren't up to speed on what a calamity is, we've had 7 of them so far, 6 of them representing each of the elements: wind, fire, water, ice, lightning, and earth. And so those were the 6 elements, and thus scholars originally, back in the day, Eorzean scholars, believed there weren't going to be any more calamities. Now, a calamity was usually followed by an age of great growth and expanse, as far as that goes. Bahamut was determined to be a calamity of all 6 elements, and an aspected calamity of that such. So essentially, the question is that what would the 8th calamity be? And so essentially, if you look at the translations from Yoshi P at the patch live letter, they talked about a spirit disaster, a calamity of the spirit. Spirit being something that's usually considered kind of the thing that connects everything. So a calamity like this could be even greater than anything we've seen before, thus ushering in an 8th calamity. Who knows what the great expanse in the world will be like after that. Now, whether that happens anytime soon, because then we obviously get the voice, which speculation part here, I've gone in and listened to the voices of the Warriors of Darkness and also of the voice that is talking to both the Scions of the 7th Dawn and us as the Warrior of Light, talking about twin dooms and throwing wide the gates.
That way, sorrow, history must be changed. Ahead looms a calamity. Ahead looms light, expunging all form and life.
Now you deign to answer our prayers? I will suffer this farce no longer.
And so you have those concepts. The voice sounds eerily similar. They could obviously use the same voice actor as part of that. Don't know if it's the character the same, but I'm led to believe that we're talking about the Warriors of Darkness here communicating to us. What's fascinating is if you actually go look at the old cutscene from the Warriors of Darkness, you'll see that Thancred, the Warrior of Light, we have Alisaie and Alphinaud there, and obviously Urianger. So the only person really missing out of that group was Y'shtola. So the question is that first I was like, well, is there a connection between the calling and who's actually getting called? Obviously, we were told and we learned that the Warriors of Darkness had to sacrifice everything. They had to die. And we know from the calling that now Thancred, Y'shtola, and Urianger, their souls or the touch of life isn't present with them while the bodies are still existing. I'm wondering if they've been called up into or to be with the Warriors of Darkness. I'm not really sure. Again, speculation on that note. So we're gonna have to see what happens there. Obviously, with Alisaie and with Alphinaud. Alphinaud's off with the Shadow Hunter, and so we haven't seen him actually have, as a part of the cutscenes provided, he wasn't getting hit by this message. So at first I was wondering if there was a direct correlation. It doesn't appear to be so, but it is possible. They originally thought that the reason Thancred was this happened to him and he was hit so hard was because of his relationship with the Ascians, because he was possessed back in the Realm Reborn by an Ascian, and thus he might be weaker to the whole process. I'm not thinking this is an Ascian influence. I'm thinking this is something dealing with either the Warriors of Darkness or some other form that's kind of either trying to warn us or trying to kind of lead us into the wrong direction. Because the big reveal in all of this is that the Emperor, the original Emperor, he is alive, but he has always been an Ascian. He founded the Empire to really just, I guess, cause chaos for chaos's sake. But obviously, their whole purpose is to bring about the rejoining, bringing back the world to its natural state and no longer being sundered into these 14, or assumingly now less than 14 shards. And the question is that would the eighth calamity, calamity of spirit, something so big and so destructive, be enough to essentially just say, to give Zodiark enough strength so that he doesn't have to obviously have more calamities, that it would bring about the rejoining, and thus we would see a new world, a world in which that all of these shards of Hydaelyn would be sucked back into the source, which is where we are, and then obviously what kind of impacts would that change to the overall world, whether this is a 5.0 thing or 6.0. I think if it is a 5.0 thing, it definitely doesn't answer some of the concerns I've had where, like, what are they doing? Like, it feels like we haven't got a lot of content, this expansion, but if they're behind the scenes working on, obviously, the next big one to handle all of what the world might look like, that would make a lot of sense in my mind. But pure speculation at that point. Obviously, we see the current Empire. He is human. He's not Ascian. He's not a fan of Ascians. But now his son, Xenos, who is confirmed to be an Ascian, obviously Xenos being dead, and he is now being worn by Elidibus. And Elidibus being the emissary of the Ascians, the white-robed Ascian. We fought him before. He's always been a weird one. It's like obviously with La Habrea and the others, they're definitely more adversarial. He seems to be more tactical. He seems to definitely be playing many groups against themselves, playing a very long game. But it's interesting because the Emperor, being an Ascian in himself, is not a fan of him. Obviously, he feels him to be a bore. And the shifting, the question is does Elidibus know that he's back? And I would be inclined yes, because it seems that like Elidibus had room for summoning him back for whatever, and whether this is reincarnation or not, we'll have to dive in more with that. So he's back. I believe that it is because Elidibus, it's called him to be back, but it's interesting that obviously we don't see them in the same scene at the end of it. Also, leading credence in my mind to the concept of spirit, a spirit disaster. We see that the Empire is testing out chemical weapons, and you see them testing out what they called like the Black Rose, is essentially a gas that kills you horribly. And we come across a camp in which that everybody is dead. And so that if essentially the spirit calamity is a calamity of just such, unlimited death and destruction that it causes, I guess, Hydaelyn to cry out, or people to cry out to Hydaelyn, who knows what kind of summoning that would be. We saw what happened with Shinryu. Obviously with Ilzabard, or Ilbard, excuse me, he obviously wanted them to lose. And so like you see all the death and all the pain that the Almingans cried out, and thus gave him enough power to summon Shinryu to the scene in the forefront at the end of Heaven's Word and going into ARR. What more could be? How much more powerful and destructive could all of these deaths be wrapped up with that? And I think that's going to be interesting to see. So it seems like a calamity of spirit. Lots of death and destruction. Obviously, the Empire revealing its true self to us in its nature. And so the questions and the things that are just, I guess, outlayers, the threads that I still haven't been able to kind of figure an answer. I'd love to have that, that conversation with you guys. Is what is the gates? Throw wide the gates. What are these twin dooms? Are we talking about a calamity of light and of darkness? What is that kind of alluding to, and will we be able to figure it out in time, and will we be the cause of it? We've kind of seen that teased. So I think all in all, like, this was a very good pivotal point in the story. This is definitely being able to show the Empire for who they are. And this is going to be interesting because as the Scions seemingly are taken out via whatever this calling is, hopefully this leads itself to a bigger picture. And personally, I'd love to see the Warriors of Darkness make their way back, because they've been with Minthelia on their, their shard of the whole situation. And it'd be neat to see that connection come back. Are our friends, because they're still alive, but are they with them, or is there something more sinister at play to be able to take us out? Is an Ascian behind all those messages? All this and more, all these questions and more, we're going to be diving into it. One of the things that's been really enjoyable is to go read about the calamities in this book. They've got a new one coming out, the Encyclopedia 2, so I'm excited to get my hands on it. And so I've been reading about the calamities and studying up on those as well. So it's really quite fascinating, the series of destruction and the series of rebirth. And we saw that with the 7th astral and umbral areas being the 7th Umbral area, bringing into where we are now with Astral, and now it seems that everything's kind of slipping and dipping back into chaos again. So again, we'll continue our our Calamity Watch 2018. We're gonna, you know, obviously see and probably learn some more about it. It's gonna be interesting to see what they're able to show and tease in like the reveal for 5.0 at FanFest, because we still haven't seen patch 4.5 and 4.55, where essentially the conclusion of kind of Stormblood and leading up into the that whatever ends up being 5.0. Guys, let me know what you caught. Was there any anything you saw in the various text quests? Is there anything that you guys are theorizing about? Let's sound off below. Again, spoiler warning for this video and any comments below. Anyway, guys, for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. I just want to take a minute to thank all of our Patreons for making videos like this possible. If you like videos like this covering the lore, be sure to either thank a Patreon or consider becoming one. Anyway, thanks guys. Thank you so much. Take care.